Hello there, folks. Hey, in this video today, I'm going to show you how to make a boot file such that you can put a startup file on an SD memory card and have a RedLion device boot from those settings. In this example, I have a brand new DA30 here that I have never powered up yet. I haven't connected to it over USB or anything. And I want to make a boot file that sets up the Ethernet port on there so that I can try to download to it over Ethernet. So here I've got this file. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to start new. I'll show you the whole thing. So I'm going to do File New and say no. I'm going to do that. So you pick the device you're going to be working with. So in this case, I'm going to be working with the DA30. So I'm going to pick that here. Of course, if you're using a graphite or a CR series or something, you'd pick that here. I'm going to click the OK button. And I just forget goes, I'll go back. Actually, you know what I'm going to do here? Hold on. Make this a little bigger. So I'll start off here in communications. And on Ethernet 1, I want this thing to come up with the IP address of 192.168.1.20. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to go to the download tab here in this file. And not that that matters, but I'm going to change this to Auto Ethernet 1. So it actually uses the IP address here eventually to download again. So here I am. I'm set up the Ethernet port. That's perfect. I'm going to go over here to Display Pages. And I'll click on this. I want to make this a little different, so I'll right click, I'll go to Properties. I'm going to change the background color to say a light gray, for instance. And then if I paste, I copied from there, so there's that paste. So that's going to be on the display page. Now this is a DA30, so of course it doesn't have a touchscreen in front of it. Everything's going to be on the web. So I'm going to go, in this case, I'm going to go over here to Web Server. I'm going to enable the web server, which by default in Crimson 3.1 it is. I'm going to change this to the TCP, use regular port 80 here. And then if I go to the Features tab, I'm going to enable remote control. And I always like this bare displayed scaled here. And I also turn on data logger. Okay, so I think I've got everything set up here correctly. Now what I want to do is I want to make this file be a bootable file, something I can put on an SD memory card, and then I'll put it into the device, power it up, and see if it loads from it. So if I go to the File pull down, right here is the option team called Save Image. And if you look down here, when I hover over that, it'll say Database Image Cable being transferred via memory card. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to ask me where I want to save it. So let me find my temporary directory that I had made sort of for this video. It's not going to be here. It's under temp. Sorry, team. And I called it boot image right here. Okay, here's the trick. The file name has to be called image. And you'll notice here that it will add a suffix of CI3. Okay, so the file name must be called image. So I'm going to call it image. Hit the save button. Do you want to include, I'm going to say yes to this. So if somebody wants to extract, I'll say yes. This should download. Now, what it did is it put that file on really on my hard drive right now. Okay. Now, in this case, I need to move that file over to the root directory of the SD memory card. Now, I happen to have an SD memory card in another device. Ironically, if I took it out of the RedLion device and put it in my old laptop, my laptop won't read it. So I got issues with my laptop. But I'm going to use this. You can just kind of close your eyes, but I'm going to connect. So here is the SD card I have. If I refresh over here, here's the image file. Now I'm going to put the image file on the root directory of this card. So this is the root directory. So if I just drag this guy over here and put it right here, it should put it here at the root directory. All right, so if you look here, team, now I have that image file sitting here on the root directory of that card. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take that SD card and I'm going to put that into the SD memory slot of the DA30, and I'm going to power it up. And the goal of this, here's the goal. My goal is to see if I can find it on this particular IP address, 192.168.1.20. Okay, that's going to be my goal here. So give me a second. Okay, so I've got the SD card plugged into my DA30. I do not have power applied to it. and I've got an Ethernet cable going from that port, hopefully over to a switch that's connected to my laptop. So I'm going to apply power to the DA30. This is the first time that I've connected to this one. It's brand new. I've not connected to it with USB at all or anything. My goal, again, is to enable the Ethernet port to come up here. So I'm going to see if it'll boot from the SD memory card. So I got the SD card, just re-say again. The SD card is in the unit. It's powered off. I have it completely seated in there. It's powered off. I'm going to apply power and let's see if this thing will boot. Let's see. Hold on. All right. As I powered up, the blue LED is blinking, which means it's talking to the SD card, and it should be booting from the SD card. I think that's yeah, the blue SD LED is blinking, and I heard it beep. I think I did. Okay, so if I heard it beep, let's try something. This is the IP address supposedly that it got. So I'm going to go over here to my DOS prompt, for instance, and I'm going to type ipconfig just to see. So I want you to notice, team, that right now the IP address of my local Ethernet connector is 192.168.1.123. You see that right here? Okay, so that's the IP address of my PC. So I'm curious, if I type ping 192.168.1.20, should be the IP address right here. That's that guy. So let me go back to DOS. Let's hit enter. Let's see what it does. Really fascinating. Hmm. Interesting. Let's look here again. That's correct. Hmm. Hmm. Well, huh. Let me cycle power to it again. This is I was expecting 192.168.1.20 connected to that port. Let me look here. Okay, so I can't ping it, which is interesting, but I should be able to. So it supposedly booted. So I'm going to try something. I'm going to cycle power to the DA30 with the SD card still in the slot. Supposedly, when it powers down, it changes the suffix so it doesn't continually boot from it again, but I'm going to try it. So I'm going to leave that in there. I'm going to go ahead and cycle power to the DA30. Let's see what it does this time with the SD card in the slot. Okay, this time on power up, once again I see the blue SD memory LED blinking real fast, and then I heard it beep, and now the SD memory card light is solid blue. My LED ports look like they're blinking on the Ethernet. So let's try this again. Huh. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating, folks. So I still can't ping it. Very weird. So I got to thinking here, why can't I ping this thing? And I wondered, well, I went through all my steps with the file. Everything in here I'm sure is correct. Then I got to thinking I wanted to look at something. Let me look at something here. If I look at the FTP thing I used, I see it says 767 kilobits here. Okay. If I go over here, the file is more like 8 meg, which is huge, which is weird. But anyway, so there's something weird. I wonder if the FTP method didn't copy over. So let me go try something here. I'm going to try to move this over again here. So hold on. So I'm going to reconnect here on FTP to this where I put it. Okay, there it is. I'm going to go ahead and delete it again from here. And then I'm going to once again attempt to drag this right here. And I think what I did earlier is I paused, or I stopped this thing, and I don't think it was completed because this memory transfer is really slow the way I'm doing it. So I'm going to let this, and I can see down here it's transmitting. I'm going to let this run here and then wait till this gets done to see if it's the 8648 here as over here. So I don't know the shade out here what it's doing. See, it failed. See here. And look, right now it's, there we go. There we go. I was impatient. So let me pause the video and we'll come back to this. Okay, this time I waited the whole time and it took like 6 minutes to move that file. So here it is now, the full size on there. I may have been my own mistake. So I'm going to go ahead and once again take that SD card out of that other unit and put it in the DA30 and power up again. So let's go ahead and try this. Hold on a second here. All right, so I put the card in the DA30 with power off, seated it correctly, and now I've powered it up, and this time the SD memory card is blinking, and it's taking quite a bit longer this time for it to boot up. So let's see what happens. I'm going to go back to the DOS window here. And we'll do the old IP config here just to double check. Yep, that's correct. It is still booting, so we'll be patient. Okay, so it beeped one time. That probably took a good minute or two for that thing to boot up. And I don't know if it's completely, I heard it beep, so I'm going to try to do the ping here. Still nothing. Now the SD card just stopped blinking. Okay, maybe it's now booted all the way. Let's see here. Huh. Interesting. All right, I'm going to go reboot the thing once again. I'm going to leave the SD card in it. I'm pretty convinced that the full size file is on there. That matches that, so that's correct. I'm going to try to reboot it once again and see if it'll boot up again. So hold on here. Okay, I left the SD card in there during power down and power boot up. It booted a lot faster than last time. And let's try this again. Hey, look at here, team. Finally. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And what I mean here, we got to celebrate. I finally got the Ethernet port. I've never connected to this DA30 over USB at all. It's brand new. It was brand new. So now that I can see that I can ping it, my theory is I should be able to go over to Internet Explorer or Google Chrome, make this a little smaller, and if I put in that IP address here, hit refresh, let's see here. Oh yeah. Hey, there's the same file. Wow. Okay, so let's be devil's advocate here. So if that's the case, if I go over here, and let's just say team that I go here, core primitives, click on some triangles and put some triangles out here, whatever. Just picking some stuff here. Okay, so there I am. If I want to download to this over Ethernet communications, I got that set up there. That says Auto Ethernet 1. So now if I go to the link pull down, go to options, tell it to use TCP, click OK. So I think if I download, hit my magic Shazam button, look at that. And if I go back to my web page, it's going to refresh. There's my diamonds. Perfect. Okay, so my biggest problem here in this whole test was my impatience of waiting for me to move that file over to the root directory of the card. I'm, of course, using this tool, but you could use File Manager. For some reason, on my old laptop, my SD memory card reader doesn't work too well. So I'm going to call Hewlett Packard a little later today. I've had this laptop for about 6 years. Should be under that lifetime warranty. I'll probably get them to fix it. So anyway, that worked out pretty good. That's how to create a boot image file. Now, the other rule is I've been told that if you wanted to use that boot disk on another device and so forth, I've been told you pull it out of the DA30 or out of the RedLion device before you power down, and then you can use that as a boot file for other things. If you leave it in there when you power down, supposedly it changes the suffix of it so it doesn't continue to reboot. I don't know for sure. Anyway, thanks a lot, team. Have a great day. We'll see you all later.